dear dignitaries, delegates, and students. All good things come to an end, and so we are now in the final session of the three-day international conference. IILM is committed to the principles of responsible management education in letter and spirit. As an institute, we are committed to take the case of responsible management to educational institutions and corporates across South Asia and beyond. IILM's first international conference on responsible management, education and practice, organized in January 2014, and second international conference held in January 2015, set key milestones in the journey of IILM. With the learnings from our two previous conferences, we expanded the scope of third international conference to get a wider picture on the success and challenges in implementing the responsible management practices in companies. Last 2 days of the third international conference saw intense deliberations on various pertinent topics related to sustainable development goals. We had industry practitioners, eminent academicians, and researchers from a variety of backgrounds sharing their views and experiences on the framework of SDGs and the challenges in its implementation. Things are easier said than done. While understanding the theoretical framework of SDG is relatively easier, the main challenge lies in its implementation. Effective implementation of SDG requires a greater level of synergy among all the concerned stakeholders. I'm sure the interaction during the conference has generated adequate interest and improved awareness on the implementation of SDGs among the participants. Moving on with the proceedings, today we are fortunate to have amongst us Dr. S.Y. Quaraishi, Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar, Professor Rakesh Chaudhry, and Ms. Florencia Librizzi in this closing plenary. Dr. S.Y. Quaraishi needs no introduction, but for the benefit of our delegates, I would like to mention a few words on his credentials. Dr. S.Y. Quaraishi is a distinguished civil servant of the 1971 batch from the Haryana cadre. He has held several coveted appointments, both at the central and state government levels. The notable and prestigious among them has been the post of Chief Election Commissioner, Government of India. Dr. Quaraishi was brought to the Election Commission after 35 years of illustrious service in civil service. He holds a PhD in Communications and Social Marketing. Such is his passion for education and teaching that even after his formal retirement from service, he continues his quest for academic excellence, and he is currently Fiqh Fellow at King's College, London. Another commendable feat of his is that his name figures in the list of 100 most powerful Indians of 2000. The list is published in 2011 and 2012 by Indian Express and India Today. Sir, may I request you to deliver the special address?
Thank you, Girija ji. When Girija said that all good things come to an end, I got worried because I thought she's saying the good part has ended and now begins the boring part. I don't know whether I should try to prove her wrong or to prove her right. Thank you very much, Girija ji, for inviting me. And this is a subject which has been very close to my heart through my life. Normally, social sector is looked down upon in our bureaucracy. And when I opted to go as a Deputy Secretary in Social Welfare Ministry, I still remember I went to a desk officer called Pillai. And when I said that please send my name in the panel to Social Welfare Ministry, he looked up and down for 2 minutes, and I got worried. Well, that something, have I made a faux pas? Why is he staring at me? He says, sir, you are the first person who has come to us asking for inclusion of your name in a Social Welfare Ministry panel. People come to us to make sure that they are not sent there. So he was just trying to gauge whether I'm in full sanity. I have spent almost half my career in this sector and no regret. This is the best part. If you feel you are a bright officer, which we all of us tend to feel, we feel we are heaven born. But this is a sector where you can make a difference to people's lives. And I have never regretted. There is a PowerPoint. I will not give you too much of a statistics. As Dr. Choker said, there is a very intimidating screen there. Can we? Yeah. If you see the reality, it says you will know in which world we are living. India is still world's hunger capital. The men hide and watch us when we relieve ourselves. This is the reality of rural India. 80% of women go to the toilet like this. And when Prime Minister Modi took up this program, many people made fun of him. Actually, it's one of the most brilliant, thought-out program. I wish it is implemented quickly. Economic growth has little impact on reducing malnutrition in children. After 65 years of independent India, 68 years, we still have about 60-70% malnutrition. Figures keep on varying, but these things really don't change. 42% Indian kids malnourished and stunted. This is one report of January 2014. Child mortality worsened despite government efforts. No drinking water, electricity, sanitation in 20% of rural households. This was one survey which was published. India's Prime Minister had then said that development is still work in progress. Now, where do we stand? I've already showed you some statistics, but let's have a little more. India ranked 63rd in global hunger index of 78 countries. In 78, even mark my word, Pakistan and Bangladesh, who are not models of development, they are better off than India in this. Highest number of undernourished people in the world, 210 million in India, and so on. The world had 873 million people, of which 179 million live in India. 20 crore Indians will sleep hungry tonight. Literacy and education. Primary education is supposed to be available within a kilometer of habitation, but we find almost 60% of the children out of school in 6 to 11 year age group. The dropout rate is 40% between class 1 and class 5. Only 5% schools have separate lavatories for girls, and this is one of the programs which the Prime Minister has taken up. And one hopes that in the last 1 year, dramatic developments have taken place, but we are still waiting for the figures to come out. And if this is the last bullet, although our education is supposed to have expanded, but we are producing educated unemployables. For every bright young man and a woman, we have 100 unemployable. On paper, they will show you a very good qualification, good degrees. When you call them for work, the moment they open their mouth, you know where they stand. We need to do something about it. The quality of education has to be addressed. There was this interesting survey in 2012, which showed that 53% of all children in class 5 could not read a class 2 level textbook. So that's the quality of education we are talking about. In maths, of course, that's a different story. Every child dreads this subject, except for some rare, bright kids. Adverse gender ratio, 940. This is the best in the last 60 years. Otherwise, instead of progressing, in 1901, 115 years ago, the ratio was 972. It has only been going down, down, down. It had gone down to 927. It just improved. But what the figure in bracket is very serious. 919 is the gender ratio for 0 to 6. What does it show? Female feticide is rampant. Now, same villages where other technology may not have reached, but sex determination technology has reached. And is being used in a big way, despite the fact that this is illegal. I'm glad that the governments are coming down heavily. Many doctors have been raided, arrested. But look at the figure, because the girls are not being allowed to be born. And it will have very serious consequences when there are fewer girls than the boys. Violence against women will increase. Rape will increase because there will be no girls to be found to marry. Now, if you see the third bullet, 48% of marriages in India are illegal. Now, this huge, massive illegality we don't even bother about. Why are they illegal? Legal age of marriage is 18 for girls, 21 for boys. 48% of the girls who are getting married are less than 18. Therefore, the marriage is illegal. And if a crime is committed on a large scale, you don't have to bother about, because then it becomes a kind of a festival. There's a serious thing. 45% of maternal deaths, obviously when they marry young, they get pregnant, and their bodies are not equipped to handle that, which is why maternal mortality is the highest in the younger segment. Maternal mortality has come down to 178 per 100,000, but still is among the highest in the world. Now, some of these issues are not economic issues, they are awareness issues, public knowledge. Less than 33% women breastfeed their child up to 6 months. Now, for breastfeeding, no money is required. It's just a question of knowledge. They don't know. In fact, I used to be director of child development, and I used to ask 3 questions whenever I went to the villages. When they get pregnant, when they're expecting, what do they eat? Do they eat more, less, or the same? Secondly, when the child is born, when do they start breastfeeding? And how long do they breastfeed? The answer to the second was very often shocking. Some said after 24 hours, 48 hours, even 72 hours. Why? They say the first milk is thick, yellowish, is dirty, it has been in the body for so long, it is stale, so they discard it. But that is the first immunization of the child. That's this is Amrit, this is the most nutritious thing. And just because of lack of awareness, no mother would deliberately harm a child, but she is doing it because she doesn't know. Now, this is a matter of just awareness. Now, economic role of women, if you see the last slide, economic role is not recognized. Many years ago, we had done a film, when I was director of child development and with UNICEF, we interviewed many people. What do you do, mister? I'm a school teacher. What does your wife do? Nothing. What do you do? I'm a bus conductor. What does your wife do? Nothing. So everybody's wife was doing nothing. So we went to their houses to see why these women are so nikhattu. We found they're the first to get up, the last to sleep, cleaning, cooking, preparing their children, the whole day, the stitching, doing something or the other, a lot of economic activity. And even when we asked them, what do you do? They said nothing. Now, in fact, I remember reading in one newspaper from those days, Hindustan Times, which calculated the economic cost of all these things which they are doing, including, if you don't mind, including the sex that they provide. And it amounted to a lot of money. So, but that is not recognized. So we need to change that. Low birth weight, now less than 33% children are left unimmunized. Now there are 7 vaccines which prevent fatal diseases. It's just a question of awareness. Why is it that parents don't come forward for immunization program? Then child labor, even the figures vary from 18 million to 100 million, but that continues to be a major problem. And if you see the last bullet, increasing child abuse. Last year, the 336% increase in child rape. That's the status of our children. Then HIV. HIV incidence is very high. India has the second highest HIV figures in terms of absolute numbers after South Africa. I'm trying to skip. Now, iodized salt, so look at the 4th bullet. Iodized salt is not consumed by 30% of the population. Such a simple thing. Just a little intervention and it can prevent a lot of health issues. And now we are in the race to be the diabetes capital of the world. We want to be the first in many things, and we're going to be the first there. Water scarcity. We have been hearing for 30 years that the next world war will be fought for water. And within the country, we know how Punjab and Haryana fight, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka fight. Everywhere there is a fight. But it's not just a question of scarcity of water, it's a question of managing our water, conservation. Our practices are extremely poor. On one hand, we have drought, on the other, we have floods. Now, we spend a lot of money to deal with drought, then we spend a lot of money to deal with floods. Why can't we save every drop of rain for the dry days? But we are very poor in all those things. What then the quality of water? 70% of rural water is below WHO standards. And we have, I had come across one study that 85% of the diseases happen because of water infection, water-related infection. There is a figure. Nearly 4 lakh child deaths by contaminated water and poor hygiene. Now, surely these are practices which need to improve, and we can generate awareness. 70% of households have no access to sanitation. 82% of rural population doesn't have toilet, but this campaign hopefully will do well. I really like, what is that actress's name? Who is? Vidya Balan. Beautiful ad, very, very powerful. I hope they will show results very soon. Now, no sanitation facilities in 90% of the 6 lakh primary schools, and girls are most affected. What will a girl do for 6-7 hours without a toilet? What she will do is she will drop out of the school. That is what she does. Environment. Although it's such a hot topic every day on the TV channels you are talking about it, India ranks 125 among 132 countries based on 22 indicators. This is the study which was published. Are these things we should be proud of? Now, Millennium Development Goals, which we have just completed or left incomplete, at least 8 of them related to the sectors which I am talking about. And we were not able to solve those problems, and that's why they have been carried forward in Sustainable Development Goals. Almost everything is there, some more added, some focus a little recalibrated, but basically the problems persist. Now, I've already mentioned this. Now, can the government alone do something? This was something which I heard in the previous session also repeatedly. Certainly not. Now, what can government do about child breastfeeding? The mother has to do. But government can have an awareness program. These days, Arvind Kejriwal is spending 500 crores a year on publicity. But how much of money has been spent on advertising these child care practices? 0. Now, CSR is probably the way forward. And in India, unfortunately, it has a very poor record. We see in the US every other day, whether it's Warren Buffett or Bill Gates, and every person is vying with each other to give 99% of his income for charity. But our big companies, we were only known for 50-story houses and all kind of pomp and luxury, but they are not known for, of course, we had Tata, we had Godrej, who had some tradition of CSR. Government 2 years ago passed a law, called Company Act was amended, and they were very proudly saying that India is the first country in the world to make CSR compulsory. Now, CSR compulsory, and we are proud of it, that we are the first country in the world. What a shame that we have to make it compulsory. And despite the compulsion, we know tax evasion. They have found their way. Those companies have made their own foundation, transfer that money from one pocket to the other, so that nothing happens. Then our business is equipped. That is where the IILM and the schools like this come in. We do not have that consciousness. I gave you those spine-chilling statistics, and they are not manufactured. They are all the truth. But how many of the corporate honchos have any idea of the gravity of those issues? If they care to listen to those figures and have a look at those figures, probably they will be embarrassed to take some action. We need to equip them. And even those companies who are going to take up CSR in a substantial way, do they have the manpower? Typically what they do is HR guy, we had Mr. Tyagi from HR, I don't know if he's still there. So HR man is also given the additional responsibility of CSR. Now CSR is a special expertise. Some knowledge of the issues, social issues, and how to deal with this, and the implementation, how to monitor the program. But that doesn't happen. So business, this is IILM, I'm very happy to congratulate, although it is self-congratulating because I happen to be the chairman of this school. For this is the third international conference. They have been talking about it systematically. We must produce more trained manpower. And why specialize specific manpower? All management schools. Where is Vasantiji? Is she still there? Yes. For instance, every management program should have CSR component, social responsibility. Social responsibility is everybody's responsibility. That's what we need to understand. So instead of just specialized courses, every course should have a component. But very few organizations are equipped to in this direction. So with these words, ladies and gentlemen, I congratulate IILM for organizing this conference regularly. This is the third. Congratulate all of you, all the participants who have been contributing your wisdom and experience to this conference. And I do hope that this will lead to the kind of improvement in this environment which you are so concerned about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the thought-provoking address. Despite being the last session of the day, your unique ability to keep the message simple and great sense of humor ensured that the audience remained attentive and connected throughout this address. Your talk touched upon the issues on poverty and hunger, literacy and education, unemployment and gender diversity comprehensively. You've also highlighted the importance of improving the quality of education and also the tackling the women and child issues in India. So we also understand that to understand that the social responsibility is everybody's responsibility. The second speaker is Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar. Mr. Bhatnagar works as Manager External Affairs with Reckitt, Benckiser, India. He holds Masters in Health Administration from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And an alumnus from Harvard Business School, he has held prime officers with Clinton Health Access Initiative, Population Services International, the World Bank, and Aga Khan Health Services. He has played key role in shaping caregiver and public policy work, Global Business Coalition on Health, quality checklist in public health intervention, along with product innovation and innovation. He has worked on some of the most path-breaking product launches in India, imparting public policy. Sir, you may please deliver your address.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thanks, IILM to invite me for this interesting, deliberations on management, education, training, and practice. And then I see the people from the United Global Compact. I work very closely with Mr. Puran on a lot of issues, and Dr. Quaraishi. So when I was learning, and still I'm learning, when I started my career in India, I used to hear his name again and again, and people used to refer, about the decentralized planning and other things. Like, it was great. And today I'm basically speaking on behalf of Reckitt Benckiser. So we are a company majorly known for Dettol, as a Dettol company. We make Dettol, Hyzol, this Lysol, Harpic, and a lot of other products. Here I'm speaking on what we do. Basically, we have a campaign called Banega Swachh India. So Banega Swachh India is a campaign which we started last year. And the campaign has four foundations, or four aspects on which we are working. The first is the behavior change communication. Second is mass reach. Third is new product innovations and development. And the fourth one is the infrastructure creation and development. everything towards, sanitation and hygiene. We do other works also, like in the field of sexual well-being. Like we manufacture Durex, we support NACO now, basically, and other platforms like UNFPA for the family planning and the condom promotion both. But typically, like, it's very important to understand, like, companies are changing, CSR law has come, it's now far beyond, like, I'm the first case in my company which is basically, who comes from a social background and who's taking care of this kind of work. And company feels proud of that. And the company feels proud because of the various reasons. The first reason is, like, they're able to translate what they actually, they had the theory of change. They want to do some change, they want to measure some change, they want to have something which is evidence-based. Rather than doing just, the input, process and outputs, can we talk about the, outcomes and impacts. So once the speaker actually touched upon importance of Gram Panchayats, 3-tier system. So RB is doing plenty of work where we are creating an environment at the village level. Largely the work under the Banega Swachh India is work which we are doing in the urban settlements with the migrants and the rural populations. These two are the platforms of the universe where we are working. We are training faith-based leaders. We have seen the programs like polio program is there. Then we have seen the smallpox program. We have seen, like, it's very important to have the intersection of faith with the disease. So in the same way, we are thinking, like, can we solve the problems of sanitation through the faith-based leaders? Can we accelerate the current programs of government in terms like, the Gram Panchayats, the Gram Sabhas, the Zilla Parishads? They come forward, they are capacitated, and they do the program in an accelerated way. Reaching to the moms. Government is a very, very well-designed and well-informed program which is working with frontline health workers like Ashas, Anganwadis, which deliver health services at the doorstep. So can we further capacitate them? Can we introduce them to the hygiene? As a company, as a responsible company, we are trying to reduce infant mortality rate arising out of diarrhea and pneumonia in 3 countries, India being the leader for the diarrhea and pneumonia deaths. And it's all linked to SDGs as well as the MDGs, So we have the WHO 7-point program where we are not saying, like, you should actually increase prevention part or promotion part or treatment part. We say, it should be a combined approach where you are actually implementing WHO, UNICEF concept of 7-point program. So that, you have prevention part, like you have the hand washing, you have cleaning, you have exclusive breastfeeding, then you have, pneumococcal vaccination for the children. What will happen? It will all, contribute significantly to reduction in the IMR rates in India. And it's not we who are working. Company has, around 15,000 people in India who are working, and everyone contributes in terms of the time value of money. After this CSR rule has come in, like, people are taking it more seriously. I must say this thing, like, before that also, like, the focus was there, and focus is there with the urban programs where one program is a POMI program, where the point of reach you are doing to the mothers, to the caregivers, you're reaching to the schools with a one-time hand washing program. We thought, can we do something, can we contribute something which is more comprehensive? So we thought, like, why not to have the program which touched, based on hygiene in home, hygiene in illness, hygiene in neighborhood, personal hygiene, hygiene in schools. So you have the curriculums which are the digital curriculums, and as well as the, formal hand, this hardbound copies also. You teach school teachers, you teach the principals, you take the programs to the, school children, where children actually, are taught on all these 5 large contexts, and there are 15 contexts per child per year. And for the level 1, level 2 and level 3. So that it should not happen like, after a single hand washing program, people forget and nothing comes out of that. So we think, like, measurement is very important, and without measurement, nothing is actually, it's all anecdotes otherwise we talk about. So we thought of working on a hygiene index for India, and we are soon launching the hygiene index for India. It's not the company's own endeavor. What happens, like, when you want to do, and when you move beyond your own company's branding of Dettol or Lysol or Harpic, there are a lot of other players which show interest. Like TCS is a partner with us. Then Mahindras are partners with us. Then Bhartis are partners with us. There are partners like, there are some management graduates from IIMs and IITs, they are partners to us. There are, some startups which are partners to us. There is academia which is a partner to us, including HBS and including TISS, and we welcome IILM also to be a part of that in future. We can deliberate on that. And then you have organizations which are experts like the four big Bs. You have Ernst & Young, you have India Incorporated, India Inc., then you have Brunswick. So these are some of the partners which immediately come to my mind, which are doing some kind of policy work with us. And the whole purpose is all the work which is going. So can we do the measurements? Can we put the measurements in place? Can we come up with something like which says this has worked and this has not worked? We have heard about, in the social work, largely people read something called social audit. And for the corporates, we say like, oh, EY has done the audit, or, BCG has done the audit, or PwC has done the audit. Here we say like, are we auditing our own work before auditors come and audit that? Is our work impactful? Are we making change? How many lives we have touched? Everyone I work in the Southeast Asia regional office of the company. So one of our KPIs, not mine alone, it's the KPI of all the people who are all working in the company. One of the KPIs is how many lives changed in a year. So it's not the sales. There are people from the sales, there are people from marketing, people from finance, HR, and other functions, for everyone. So what you have done. So when your annual appraisals are done, one KPI is what change you have brought. Have you done something? I'm not saying it's because of the 2% CSR. It's in existence from last many years. Company is 150 years old in India, named by, with a lot of mergers and acquisitions. The core essence is still there. Company has a logo of a kite, a pink kite. Kite is, moving high. It also says no ceilings. No ceilings for the women in the company. I'm proud to say like company's global and India board has a significant number of women, and the company gives more, like government has announced about increase in number of, days for the maternity leave. Our company already has increased extended number of this because company feels it's a right of the woman who's working in the company. If they are nurtured well, the company will be, doing more efficiently. And about the work-life balance, largely, on that part, like it also contribute, now the carpooling is there. Today, Dr. Quaraishi was discussing about what we are doing on the carpooling part. So we have the shuttles. There are a lot of people, senior people in my company, which you can see coming on the bicycles. It's not now, like after Arvind Kejriwal has said, it's happening from last many years. People are coming on their bicycles. I'm not saying from Delhi to Gurgaon, but from Gurgaon to Gurgaon, a lot of them are coming. And people have BMW standing at home, but it doesn't mean like, they want to just come and it's not a, one-time feature. You see them, 5 days a week coming on the bicycles. Company believes in making the responsible citizens also. There is a brand purpose, there is a company purpose, and there is a national purpose. And as a company, as a responsible company, we feel like there is much more we can contribute. And this is a whole, there's one last, SDG which I would like to touch upon. That's the partnerships. So we believe strongly on the partnership brokerage. We feel if we have many people coming together for doing the work, and when they will contribute, definitely things will change. Things will change for good, and we are seeing it happening. Giving you an example, the recent example is of Telangana and Andhra. We said like we are equipped with school curriculum, and we would like to teach the school principals, teachers, and take the curriculum forward. Are there some corporates which are interested in doing this? Are there some volunteers? We're very fortunate, I must say. Like TCS came forward. They say, okay, construction of toilets in the schools we will do. PNG came together. They said, okay, we will give the incinerators and the sanitary napkins and give the training to all this government school kids who are in class 8, 9, 10th, 11th, 12th. So 3 corporates coming together, doing the work, and it's not like, we're saying it will be Dettol branded, or it's PNG branded, or it's TCS branded. If you will see the branding, there is no branding. It's all part of Swachh Bharat. So there's a lot of power in that. Second example I would like to give you for the work we are doing in Rajasthan. So we are working in the rural Rajasthan in Kotputli and Viratnagar. So although we are working with the EY, so PwC came forward. They said, we would like to do some work with you there. So can you contribute? We said, we are happy to do it. So, Bharti has done the toilets there. PwC has, given some more infrastructure operations and maintenance. We came with the curriculum. We said we should stick to our, expertise, and let's all collaborate and let's see the results, what comes out. These are the two examples, and we think like without evidence, it will be just talks and talks. We know like 62.5 million Dalis are lost. Dalis are disability adjusted life years because of poor sanitation and poor hygiene. So can we improve on that? So can the measurements be in such a way, like we say, okay, X number of toilets are made. So is there some improvement on the Delhi front? Has IMR gone down? It's significant to see all this, Swachh Bharat interventions from the public health and from the epidemiological point of view also. So if the clean toilets are not there, girls will be getting and the women will be getting the reproductive tract infections if they go to the unclean toilets. If they go outside, there are chances they will get the soil disease. So can we measure the things in a way which are basically which can be a part of the larger public discussion and debate? Going ahead, can we have the economic assessment of what we are achieving through all this work, what we are doing? If I say I have 5,000 employees in the company, do I have an employee meter which talks about how their time is given, what they are doing? Is there some change after the work, what they are doing? Do I have a basket of interventions to offer to my own staff? If I have staff, if I say there is one intervention on the faith-based leaders, second intervention is there with the school kids, third is with the frontline health workers, fifth is with the hygiene index, sixth is coming to a management institute like IILM or IIMs and talking to the students and giving them learning from them and give something to them so that So do we have some measurements on that? I don't see those measurements. We are working on that. And on 17th of Jan, we will be announcing our second Clinathon. The first was done last year. Again, 19 chief ministers and a lot of people. Amitabh Bachchan is a brand ambassador. Vidya Balan is a brand ambassador of the program. Best part is they visit the schools. Around 7 days in a year, they visit the schools and they see what we are doing. Is it genuine or not? They relate to the kids. So you can see the live 12-hour session on NDTV, which they will be publicizing soon on the Clinathon. This year, everyone talks about money, so can we get more money? Money with corporates, money is not the problem, I see. The problem is the intention. The problem is basically, can we do something beyond money? So this year, we are focusing like, how much time you are ready to give. For my company, for other companies, so we are inviting time. So you will be finding a time meter on the Banega Swachh India, where on the time meter you will see like various interventions and how you would like to contribute. You want to do something in Leh or Ladakh, or you want to do in Jaipur, or you want to do in Delhi or neighborhood, in your own neighborhood, you're free to do that. And I invite all of you to basically see the Clinathon, and if you want to be a part of the big mission of Swachh Bharat, please, you're all most welcome. Last step is like companies are gearing up. They are talking about the Maverick Challenge like we have recently done. Last year Maverick Challenge was on sexual well-being. This year, Maverick Challenge was basically on the behavior change communication on sanitation. So there are people, there are children, the students from IIM, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, Calcutta, and a lot of other business schools. So it's not only corporate driven. The first level was sending, your entries, where it was a mix of people from academia, some of the Nobels, some of the Padam Shris, from the health, education, nutrition sectors. So they actually screened the applications. Second level was basically, in the challenge, they did the field work. They said, this is the idea. We said, this is the money. So they implemented the idea. Local NGOs at the field validated what they have done. They did the assessment. Third level was actually selecting first, second, and third and giving them reward, the full bursary, and etc., etc. And it was very, very interesting journey. The ideas which came from the students from various B schools, it's interesting. And it has not stopped there after the Maverick Challenge. Some of them have got the pre-placement offers. And I'm very happy to say, like, they will be working, they will be around 4 months extensively. They will be working with me on Banega Swachh India, on hygiene and sanitation. So company says, like in the foundation years, like, in Japan and other countries, you put a lot of, effort in the foundation year on health, hygiene, and other things, and culture building, other things, like that. In the same way, companies also thinking on those lines, where we are working on the, culture building in the company. And it will not be, you will, like you go to the company, you do work with the sales, marketing, finance. Okay, that all will be happening. But before that, spend some time working on the social cause which company is very interested in, because that serves our brand purpose, that serves our national purpose, that also serves our company purpose. So taking all these things together, when there is a triangulation of all these things, we think like we will be coming out with a bright, very young and bright individuals, boys and girls, men and women. And in the mid-career entries also, it's compulsory in the company to spend a lot of time on Bhatnagar Swachh India and the activities like this. It's not like how much money you are donating, because people say, okay, I will give you a check of 15,000, Ravi. So will this suffice? We say, no, sorry, we don't want your money. Company has a lot of money. You see the shares. You see how we are performing in the London Stock Exchange. So we are not interested in your monies. One more interesting feature, it's leadership. The leadership is very different. Leadership thinks about like, what is the purpose? Why people in rural who have toilets, why don't they go to their toilets? Why don't they use their toilets? Instead of that, they're going to the fields. So we work on the consumer behavior a lot. So we have understood toilets are not cleaned. They don't have a solution to clean those pit latrines. It stinks. So we thought, can we come up with an idea and a product which can actually change the thing? So what we have done is like we did partnership with the Tagasako and Novozymes. One is the enzyme company and second is the perfume company. We're launching a product specially for the rural population to clean the pit latrines. It will be the only product in India which is available, and best part is it's all natural. It is all residual of one of the crops which will be used to clean all that. So we think like responsible business is a must, and I invite you all to see the Clinathon on 17th of January. And be part of the big movement. In your academic institution, some of you will be in class first year of MBA, second year of MBA. So, or some of the faculties are also there. So everyone can contribute to that. We are not saying you contribute to DETOL, you contribute to RB, but you contribute to your national cause, because we live in the country. If our country is not clean, when we invite someone from outside, it looks very bad on us. People say, oh, Agra Taj Mahal looks very beautiful, but when you go to the surroundings, if a female is with you, where you will take her to the loo if she wants? You can't say, go to this jungle, or I will just stand here and you just go. It's our responsibility. Can we do something for our own efforts? Can we raise something like in terms of you have the groups, you have the casework, you have the group works, you have your own business cases. Can you work on some business cases which make it more stronger? I mean, say like, I will just give you my example. When I was doing my post-graduation, the second post-graduation in HBS, so one important thing which came was like, what did you change? How many lives you have touched? So I didn't had any answer at that time. But I'm very fortunate after passing from there, they make you work like that. You need to do something. Otherwise, you are nowhere. Thank you. And wish you all best of luck. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatnagar, for sharing various initiatives of Reckitt Benckiser to address issues of sanitation, health, and hygiene. IILM will be honored to partner with you to work on a hygiene index for India. Sure. With an objective to understand the responsible business practices among top Indian organizations with respect to the National Voluntary Guidelines and other international best practices, IILM, with the support of Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, has initiated a survey on responsible business practices among top Indian companies in 2015. May I now request Professor Rakesh Chaudhry, Senior Director, IILM, to present the key findings of the survey.
Good afternoon. The first thing we teach in management schools is that unless you can measure something, it won't get done. We have been a signatory of PRME since 2008. And one of the key key focus of PRME and UN Global Compact is to inculcate responsible management practices in the corporate world. excellent thinking, excellent laudable objectives. But we need to see how much impact it's really having on companies. So in one of our earlier conferences, we decided that we will work on that to get an actual reflection of what's happening in the corporates in India. The two words most used indexes are by United Nations Global Compact and OECD towards measuring the responsible management practices. In India, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs introduced National Voluntary Guidelines, we will be referring them to as NVGs, in July 2011. It's based on 9 principles. These are ethics and transparency, product life cycle sustainability, employee well-being, stakeholder engagement, human rights, environmental concern, responsible policies, inclusive development, and consumer well-being. The objective of NVG framework was to facilitate that companies have a comprehensive set of guidelines, frameworks pertaining to sustainability and business responsibility at both national and global level. So in one earlier conference, we decided that we will conduct a survey to understand the existing scenario of prevalence of responsible business practices at both global and national level. Before we started the survey, my colleagues and I met a few of the companies, and we got a very basic question. They said, what does responsible business practice mean? Before we answer, fill in your questionnaire. And it's surprising. I mean, you go out, there are a lot of senior people in very large companies who really do not fully aware of what does this entail. So we told them responsible business practices entail an organization's commitment to ensure a positive impact on society and environment. This was a summary of the letter we wrote to them with accompanying enclosures. And we told them that the study is being conducted with the support of Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, which is a part of Ministry of Corporate Affairs. ISC is a think tank and a center of excellence to support the growth and corporate sector in India through an integrated and multidisciplinary approach. We also shared that key objective of the study is to assess responsible business practices among large organizations. And in case they are following UN Global Compact principles and OECD, we also wanted to get an idea about that. Then we circulated a questionnaire and asked them to give their responses. And we also committed that the results of the study will be reported in a summary format, and there will be no link to the individual responses, because otherwise most of the companies refuse to give any response to our questionnaire. I will just, this is possibly not important, it's too basic. There are 9 principles in NVG. So on those, we asked them questions which were basically to be replied in terms of yes or no. Like first was, business should conduct and govern themselves with ethics, transparency, and accountability. To that, we had a question, do you have policies relating to NVGs? Do these conform to UNGC or any other international standard? Are the policies formulated in consultation with relevant stakeholders? Has the company board approved the policy? Does the company have a specified committee to oversee the implementation of this policy? Mention the links if you have any. the policy has been formally communicated to relevant stakeholders, and does it have a grievance readdressal system and any independent audit evaluation. So these were the relating to all the 9 principles, which were sent by email as well as sent in a hard copy. And then we also asked them, we categorized the data in what geographical location they were, what sector they were, and we also wanted to see if specific sector, whether manufacturing or services in various industries, have any impact on the kind of responses we get. These are UNGC principles. I will not go into that. Most of you will already be familiar with that. Little bit about national voluntary guidelines for those who may not be fully familiar with this. These are basically, covering stakeholders, human rights, environment, public policy, inclusive growth, customers, ethics, life cycle, employees. This is again will be in our report, but we need not share that with you, the 9 exact principles. What was our subject, study objective and approach? We wanted to assess and understand the responsible business practices. And our target audience was Financial Express 500 companies. These companies were selected from FE listing based on their net revenue of 12-13. The survey techniques were, we emailed the questionnaire and all the accompanying details to all the companies. Then we also did telephonic survey. We got the contact of nodal person of respective companies to sensitize them on the survey. We also mailed hard copies to all the companies which had head offices or registered offices based in Delhi NCR. And we also reviewed the documents submitted by companies and publicly available information through company websites, annual reports, business responsibility reports. They were all used to gather required details for the survey. Basically, we found we could divide the respondents into 4 categories. The category 1 was those who follow NVGs or incorporate business responsibility element, and they also give reasonably good exposure, full coverage. Category 2 was those who follow these partially in line with NVGs but do not report them anywhere. Category 3 was who on their own follow international best practices but do not report as per NVG framework. And category 4 was those who do not follow any business responsibility practices and neither do they report or share these details. This is now a little bit the overall before we go to the executive summary. Out of the 500 companies, 50 companies submitted complete filled-in questionnaire. It was very comprehensive, but only 50 companies did that. 28 companies participated verbally. Concerned officers of those companies shared some information and suggested we refer to their business responsibility annual reports and their websites to take required information. 133 companies declined to participate in the survey. Remaining 289 companies procrastinated and did not share any specific information. And when we met them personally, they said, these are the documents. You can go through these, arrive at any your conclusions, but I am not going to fill in any questionnaire. So when we repeat this questionnaire next year, we will have to see that, we had a half a page of contact information. That scares people off. Responses on principle 1 were, which means we are talking of roughly 20% of the companies, 78 to 80, which is about 20% of the target 500. 86% said they followed ethics, transparency, and accountability principle with required policies subscribing to NBGs. 88% had a grievance redressal mechanism. 2/3 of respondents had policies related to ethics, transparency, and accountability, which conform to UNGC or other international standards. And 66% also shared that they had performed independent audits by external agency. In terms of response on product life cycle sustainability also, between 2/3 to 70% of the respondents said they are doing reasonably good work in that, out of which 2/3 confirmed in writing, balance did it on verbally. Well-being of employees. Among the respondents, this was among the very highly reported factor. 86% said they had policies relating to employee well-being. Though they did not prepare business responsibility reports, but they were, I think it's possibly because it was very related to HR and it has a key role to play their workforce motivated. So this was very given high priority. And 8 out of 10 respondents, I've used the term respondents and companies interchangeably in this section. They formulated such policies in consultation with relevant stakeholders. They had communicated such policies to all relevant stakeholders. These companies reported having in-house structure along with specified committee to oversee the implementation and grievance redressal mechanism to address stakeholders' concerns. Governing board of 22% companies did not approve policies related to employee well-being, which is quite strange, but apparently there are still a lot of companies which feel money comes first. Other things can. Then stakeholder engagement also, almost the same as in well-being. We had more than 80% respondents saying yes, they were doing something on that. The fifth principle was human rights. 7 out of 10 companies had formulated human rights related policies in consultation of relevant stakeholders, and governing board of same proportion of companies approved such policies. 3/4 of the companies had in-house structure to implement the policies and had grievance redressal mechanism. Environment, people are generally very well aware of it, and thanks to Mr. Kejriwal, that awareness is now getting down to grassroots level also. But here again, 1/3 of the company's governing boards had not approved environment policies, and same percentage did not have any grievance redressal mechanism to resolve stakeholders' concerns. So we still have a lot to make sure that people are aware of it. If it doesn't get attention from the top or board level or CEO level, you can be very sure that it will not get done in any commercial organization. Policy advocacy is something relatively new in Indian corporate scenes, and we had only about half the respondents saying that, yes, they do give importance to this particular area. Inclusive growth. We had an excellent session on what inclusivity means in our session just before us. And while it's getting importance, but it will be again varies between 60 to 80%. But things sort of a positive note is that people are becoming aware of that. 74% of the respondents subscribed to NVGs of customer value, and they also had specified committees to oversee the implementation of policies, grievance redressal mechanism. And 76% of respondents had in-house structure to implement these policies. There were few other things we got the data analyzed. Zone-wide analysis showed that performance of companies in terms of NVG policies was higher in West and North Zone. I personally expected South Zone also to be included because East has been very lukewarm on NVG guidelines. But possibly because if we had done some hard copy survey in Bangalore and Chennai and Hyderabad, we could have got better responses. It was because of our location slightly skewed towards North India. At least 90% companies which prepared business responsibility reports had policies pertaining to all principles except product life sustainability, environment, and policy advocacy. These are things which need to be improved. Among large-sized companies, the performance in terms of having relevant policies was highest on ethics. Last point, industry-wise, lowest proportion of companies' responses from banking, financial services, and insurance. We were but surprised, but apparently one of them informally told us that if we share too much information, we will get a lot of complaints from our clients. So we do what we do to the best of our ability, but we want to keep it hidden. I will just take 2 minutes more or maybe less to share with you executive summary. NVG principle follow-up is still at a very nascent stage. Some companies follow NVG, others are doing on their own. At the operational level, companies which prepared business responsibility reports were willing to participate in the survey. But that's not true of everybody. And how do we, number one, I met about 12 respondents myself. They were not fully aware of what NVG was, in spite of the fact these are very large companies. I mean, their company sector is new, and as long as everything was legally hunky-dory, they were not bothered about that. So I felt there was a tremendous need for better communication with companies, and there are a lot of people who were willing to share information, but they said our board strictly prohibits us sharing any information with this regard. And this was even shared with me by a managing director. He said, I asked everybody in the company, keep shut on this area. Do not share any information unless it's approved by the board. So we need to take steps. How do people become open? I mean, we talk about transparencies, but they want to be absolutely non-transparent in sharing with us what they do. Given the preference to socially responsible business practices globally, and it's imperative for making businesses sustainable and socially relevant, there's an urgent need to sensitize Indian companies on the benefits of embracing responsible business practices. We will be finalizing this report by end of January, and we'll be happy to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Ms. Florencia Librizzi, Senior Manager, UNPRME, to deliver her closing address.
Thank you. Hello, everyone again. we conclude with this very productive 3 days at the conference of IILM, their international conference. On behalf of the Prime Secretariat, UN Global Compact Office, I'd like first to thank IILM, Rakesh, Smitha, and wonderful team for the organization of this event. Thanks all the distinguished speakers and the audience for making this a very successful one. I would also like to highlight some key ideas that I think are worth mentioning one more time. I think we've been building together, through the different panels, that they were all well balanced and having different perspective, which is very, very rich. So, in terms of the ESG as a framework, we know, and I think it's quite clear at this point, that they are showing us the direction where to go for the next 15 years. This is something that has been discussed with a lot of consultation, and hopefully we can see this as an opportunity to look at this lighthouse and go on that direction. We will all have different paces. There will be different solutions in terms of each context, but hopefully we can see all together at this direction. We also know that we cannot afford to miss this opportunity, and we have also discussed that over the last 3 days. It's also clear that the SDGs are very much interlinked and integrated, and we need multi-stakeholder partnerships and collaborations, as well as the critical implementation and monitoring in order to achieve them. We also hopefully realize the importance role of the private sector, including business, academia, and NGOs. This is absolutely key. Governance will not be able to do this by themselves. And we also discuss specific SDGs, which I think hopefully help us to reflect on how, while these SDGs are very ambitious goals, we can start prioritizing what it makes sense in our local context, aligning with the global agenda, and having this dialogue global-local, empowering local people, making process bottom-up. Those that are on top, also making sure that we empower those, and having hopefully those views in the national plans. So academia, business, make sure we are part of voices to be heard when we build these national plans. Finally, a call for action, again, from my role as the Prime Secretariat. We would like to remind you of this huge opportunity that we have at hand. Businesses, be responsible, find opportunities, make sure business will contribute to the SDGs. This is the good thing to do, it's the needed thing to do, but also it's the smart thing to do. Join Global Compact or stay in the Global Compact and continue to work with Global Compact. Academics, continue your work on responsible management education. Continue to prepare the leaders that we need. Join Prime, if you're not part of it, of Global Compact as well, you can do that. And continue to work with these platforms. And most importantly, I think, and I'm happy to see many students, it's a huge call for you. Make sure that you empower yourself. You will be one day, hopefully, one of those senior managers that didn't know about this. And hopefully you will know, and you are probably at this point in your career, in your studies, that you know more than many people that are in the market. This is so important. And there's huge opportunities for talent recruitment in which you can make a difference. Study, learn, develop yourself as a person, as a professional. Believe that you can be an actor of change. The fact that you're studying at a higher education institution at this time in life, this is because you're already in a leadership position, you're already in a privileged situation compared to many others. Hopefully, if we improve on the SDG 4, that would not be the case. Maybe many others will also have this opportunity, but right now you're being trained to be a leader. Think, feel, act as one. That means not only thinking in your own career, but also thinking how your passion, your talents can really make a difference and include others. Think about those that need help. And in the future, when you have the chance, and even now, right now, think how we can shape this world that we want. This is an important task. So find mentors, find peers, like-minded peers, to make sure that you don't feel by yourself. There are many people, as you see, with the same intentions. So learn, act, study, and remain here. I congratulate you for what you're doing, so I look forward to having you in many other opportunities. Finally, our strong appreciation to IILM, and on behalf of the Prime Secretariat, have a restful weekend and hopefully a very peaceful, happy, and productive 2016.
Thank you, Ms. Librizzi. We are at the culmination of our 3-day conference. Being the last speaker, I guess I don't have the luxury of holding you for long. Nevertheless, I'm entrusted with the task of delivering the summary note, but I promise I'll try and keep it short. The conference revolved around the theme of Sustainable Development Goals of UN Global Compact. We had a fruitful interaction spanning over 3 days, which the pertinent topics ranging from gender equality, inclusive equitable education, skill development for employment, sustainable consumption, climate change, water and sanitation, and smart cities have been discussed and deliberated upon. The opening plenary commenced with a keynote address by EU Ambassador to India, His Excellency Mr. Thomas Kozlowski. He highlighted how the Millennium Development Goals adopted in 2000 have given rise to the SDGs of today by incorporating sustainable development into the objectives of MDGs. He said, Agenda 2030 would redefine how international community would integrate the various objectives to give rise to a better future for the forthcoming generations. It was followed by the address by Ms. Librizzi. She highlighted the importance of B schools to partner with organizations for the development to take place keeping environment in mind. She highlighted how the goals of management education could be linked to the SDGs. Mr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, Director General and CEO, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, Government of India, stressed that we need to adopt a very different approach to achieve the 17 SDGs and encourage the students that a lot rests on their shoulders for bringing the change. Mr. Nitin Seth, Managing Director, Fidelity Worldwide Investments, shared various perspectives around developing sustainable cities. The first session of day 1 was on inclusive, equitable education and lifelong learning, and achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. The deliberations and discussions revolved around gender equality, promote education for children with special needs, revamp the content-based curriculum in schools and move towards more need-based or skill-based learning. The panelists were Mr. Raj Nehru, Director, Concentrix India Private Limited, Mr. Anju Sabharwal, Vice President, Human Resources, Vodafone Limited, Mr. Sharad Singh, Country Manager, Hewlett-Packard India, Mr. Abha Sehgal, Principal, Sanskriti School, New Delhi, and Ms. Silji, University of Geneva, Switzerland. The second session was on skill development for employment and sustainable growth and ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all. The eminent speakers of the session included Professor S. Padam, former Dean, Administrative Staff College, Hyderabad, Mrs. Soltanifer, Hanze University of Applied Sciences, the Netherlands, and Dr. G. Jawahar, Head HR, Power Finance Corporation Limited. The session was focused on promoting inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Mr. Alessio Devoto and Mrs. Stephanie Formenti presented their case study titled Grow Africa. The key theme was managing change across boundaries. Session 3 of the conference was on ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, and ensure sustainable consumption and production pattern. The session saw active participation from various renowned speakers, Mr. Sutanu Bahuria, former Secretary, Heavy Industries, Government of India, Mrs. Shantanu Roy, General Manager, GAIL, and Mr. Ashutosh Sinha, News Editor at NDTV Profit. The session focused on the issues like equity, implementation, and ethics to provide affordable, reliable, sustainable energy for all. Session 4 of the conference was on ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, and take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. The speakers included Mr. Samir Patak, Coca-Cola India, Mr. Florencia, UN Global Compact, Ms. Rubina Sen, GRI South Asia, Mr. Prashant Pastor, Senior Manager, Solidaridad, South and Southeast Asia. The session highlighted urgent need to take corrective actions to handle the mismatch between the existing supply and projected demand of water by 2030. Session 5 of the conference, the last session of yesterday, was on Make Cities Inclusive, Safe, Resilient and Sustainable. The panelists were Mr. Vikas Marwa, CMO Sona Steering Limited, Ms. Shabnam Siddiqui, Director, Anti-Corruption Center of Excellence, Global Compact Network, India, Mr. Amit Sinha Roy, Vice President, Marketing and Strategy, Tata Communications Limited, and Dr. Michael Smith, Professor of Financial Management, International School of Management, Germany. The session saw some interesting discussions on the smart city ecosystem and increasingly changing role of telecom industry in building smart cities. Session 6 was on promote inclusive societies and provide access to justice to all, and build effective, accountable institutions at all levels. The panelists were Professor Vasanthi Srinivasan, IIM Bangalore, Professor Jagdeep Chokar, former professor, IIM Ahmedabad, Mr. Sandeep Tyagi, Director HR Samsung Electronics, and Ms. Florencia. The deliberations of the closing plenary is fresh in our mind and needs no elaboration. I would like to thank Dr. Quaraishi, Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar, Professor Chaudhry, and Florencia for the insightful deliberations during this session. I will also take this opportunity to announce the dates of IILM's 4th International Conference on Responsible Management, Education and Practice. The next conference will be on 11th, 12th and 13th February 2017. Looking forward to your wholehearted participation. Last but not the least, I express my gratitude to the management for the support and my colleagues and students for their relentless efforts in putting things together to make this event a success. Thank you all. I request all to raise for the national anthem. I request all to join us for lunch in the lounge.